So I'm going to record what I read on Zoom for you yesterday in case anybody missed it. It was chapter 26 and 7. First one's Joe. Mia's hogging the bed. Oh, yes, since the beginning of Thursday, which is macaroni and cheese day. Mia's hogging the bed, so I sleep crooked, wake up with a crick in my neck. Sunshine's leaking in under the bottom of the window shade and hitting me smack in the face. That's weird. It's usually still dark when I get up. I roll over and look at the clock. It's 10:45. Holy smokes, I shout, jumping out of bed. I throw on some clothes, shove my homework in my backpack, and run downstairs without even tying my shoes first. My parents were sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee. What's going on? I asked my mom. Why didn't you wake me up? And aren't you supposed to be at work? Bertie from the kitchen crew offered to cover for me, and you're not going to school today, my mother says quietly. I'm not? Are you going to say hello to your old man? My dad asks. I go over and give him a hug. I haven't seen him in over a week, and since he doesn't shave when he's on the road, his beard's pretty scratchy. Is it my imagination, or did you grow another foot while I was gone? He asks. I don't know, I said. Maybe. Does somebody want to tell me what's going on? Have a seat, Joey. My mom tells me, I'll get your breakfast. Usually on school days, I just eat a couple bowls of cereal and a smoothie in the morning, but my mother has made rancheros. She and my dad had already eaten, so she loads up the plate with the fried eggs and corn tortillas covered in salsa and sets it on the table in front of me. Sprinkle a little of this on top, she says, setting a small glass dish of chopped up green stuff next to me. It's cilantro. It's filled with vitamin K. Let me know if you want some hot sauce, too. Rancheros is one of my favorites, but for the second time this week, I've lost my appetite. Are we about to have a family meeting, I ask. My parents look at each other. Well, your mom and I do need to talk to you, Joe, my father says. Sounds like a family meeting to me. What do we need to talk about, I ask, even though I'm pretty sure I already know. My father turns to my mother. What's that boy's name again, he asks. Dylan, she says. Dylan Samreen. Oh, boy, here we go. What kind of name is Samreen, my father asks. He's Indian, I say. What's his problem with you, Joe? I shrug. Have you ever tried sitting down with Dylan and telling him how you feel, my mother asks. Oh, come on, Gracie, my dad says, shaking his head. Don't you know you can't talk to people like that? It doesn't work. Well, what are you suggesting, Kurt, that he just go punch the boy in the nose, says my mom. Well, I'd serve him right. These people come over here expecting to have it all. They ought to show some respect. What people? I ask. Immigrants, my father says. They're visitors in this country. Who do they think they are, pushing us around? Well, Dylan's not a visitor. He was born here, I say, and his dad's a doctor. You're missing the point, Joe, my father says. The point is you have to man up and fight back. Lower your voice, Kirk, my mother says. Oh, there you go again, Grace. Stop babying him, or he'll never learn to stand on his own 2 feet. I know how to stand on my own 2 feet, I said. I do it every day. You just don't know about it. You wouldn't even know who Dylan Samreen was if Mom hadn't taken a job at Einstein. We've been over this already, she says. I didn't have the choice. I needed the work. You promised me to stay out of my business, Mom. You crossed your heart and promised. Your well-being is my business, too, my mother says. Great. Now she's crying. How long has this Samreen boy been bothering you, my father asks. I shrug. Why didn't you say anything about it, asked my mom. I can handle it, I say. I'm going to call and speak to your principal right now, my dad says, reaching for the phone. If you're not going to stand up for that bully for yourself, I'll do it for you. No, I shout, banging my fist on the table. No, no, no. You want me to talk about my feelings? You want me to stand up for myself? Fine, here it goes. I hate that Mom works at my school, and I hate she keeps breaking her promises and butting into my business. I hate that she has to wear that stupid apron and blow that stupid whistle in front of everybody. I hate you're never home anymore, Dad. I hate that you think it's okay to call up my principal without even asking me how I feel about it first. I hate you're always telling me to man up and that you don't like people who aren't like you. Indians, you mean? He asks. No, Dad, I mean me. What are you talking about? He asks. You think I don't like you? Well, why don't you ever turn down the TV when Mom asks you to? Hey, now wait a second, my dad says. I'm not the bad guy here. I'm only trying to... Let him finish, Kirk, my mom says, reaching over and putting her hand on his arm. It feels kind of like I'm throwing up now. I can't control what's coming out, and it's not going to stop until I'm empty. I hate that kids think I'm dumb, and that teachers don't like me. I hate being afraid to raise my hand even when I know the answer. I hate that I'm taller than everybody else in my grade, including my teacher, and that the only real friend I have is a dog. Most of all, I hate Dylan Samreen because he never, ever lets me forget who I am. That's how I feel. Are you happy now, I ask, and then I pick up my plate, scrape the eggs in the trash, and I go upstairs to my room. Chapter 27 is Ravi. Farima storms into my room, waving a piece of paper. Wake up, Ravi, and explain this to me right now, she says, pulling the sheets off my face. What is it? I ask, rubbing my eyes. What's wrong? Her hands are shaking as she pushes the wrinkled paper under my nose. I found this in your school bag. What is it? I ask, sitting up and reaching for my glasses. Look at me, Ravi, says Parima, grabbing my chin and pulling my face towards her. Tell me, what's going on? What have I done? I ask, trying to see what's written on the piece of paper. Alma comes in, takes a paper, and sits beside me on the bed. It's some kind of drawing, she says, smoothing the paper on her knee. I push up my glasses, rub my nose, and look at the paper. It's a cartoon of a bunch of people wearing the same t-shirt. Did you draw this? Asks Mama. No, I tell her I've never seen it before in my life. Parima snatches the paper from me and studies it. Who is this boy? She asks suspiciously. Is that supposed to be you? Has someone been calling you names? She's pointing to a boy wearing shoes that look like giant potatoes. I know who he's supposed to be. This isn't me. It's the boy who sits behind me in class. He goes for special help. I call him Bigfoot, but his real name is Joe Sylvester, I say. Whoever did this cartoon probably meant to give it to him and accidentally put it in my bag instead. I hope this will satisfy my grandmother and put an end to the drama, but instead she starts up again. Well, why do you and Big Feet sit together? She demands. Are you friends? Mama asks. We don't sit together. I sit behind him. The seating is alphabetical, I explain. Siriyana Ranayanan comes before Sylvester, and no, Amma, we are not friends. My mother knows me too well. What's going on, Raja? She asks softly. You have to tell me. Well, I want to tell her everything. How Dylan Samreen called me Curryhead. I ran and hid in the bathroom. How I have not made a single friend at school and have been ridiculed and laughed at every single day since day one. I want to tell her I've been tricked into tasting beef too, but I can't do that. What's wrong, Mama asks, squeezing my shoulder. Ow, I cry. Anna gently pulls open the top of my pajama shirt and gasps. What happened? She asked, gently touching my bruise with her fingertips. Nothing, Amma, I lie. I just bumped myself. Pratima turns on her heel and leaves the room, only to return a minute later wearing her sweater and shawl. She also has a scarf, a red dupatta covering her head. Where are you going so early in the morning? Amma asks. Parima ignores her. Get up, Robbie, she commands. Why? I ask. I'm coming to school with you. I want to see for myself what's going on at this so-called Albert Einstein Elementary School. Nothing's going on, Parima, I say, and you cannot come with me to school. When did you start answering back to your elders? She asked, her eyes flashing. It's all this American influence. Are you ashamed of your Parima now? Oh, embarrassed of her Sharai and Bindi? I'm sure that's not how he feels, Amma says. What do you know about it, Roshni? Parima snaps. Tell her, Avi. It's true, isn't it? You wish your silly old Parima had stayed behind in Bangalore where she belongs, don't you? There's no place for me here in your new American life full of insulting cartoons and mysterious bruises. No, Parima, I say. I'm glad you're here. But she ignores me and goes on. I'll tell your Parima to bring the suitcases from the garage. We'll buy a ticket home and fly back to Bangalore. Amma sighs. Don't be silly, Nina Ma. Ravi just told you he doesn't want you to leave. Parima narrows her eyes at Amma. You poisoned his mind, Roshni. That's what it is. We both know you don't want me here any more than he does. Stop, I shout. The reason you can't come to school with me is because I'm not going to school, Parima. You feeling sick again, Raja? My mother asks quickly, putting her hand on my forehead to check for a fever. Let me feel your pulse, says Parima, putting her fingers on my wrists. Now all of a sudden her voice is quivering with concern. I'm not sick, I say, pushing their hands away. I'm just finished with Albert Einstein Elementary School forever. I quit.